to computer. Okay.
Sweet.
All right. So this issue came out of a custom, it's a confidential issue. Yeah. So somebody reported in a confidential issue that there's a timeout when they're loading the admins in their users tab.
Uh-huh.
So Abu Bakr on our team is very smart and somehow figured out that this was the result of this one method. And let me see if he referenced how he figured that out. I actually can't remember how he figured it out, which is interesting in itself, I would say. But basically, we have this
In his
delete
brain.
user button. Yeah, and it's very um, sharp brain.
Mm.
So we check whether we can delete a user to see if they're a user where the groups where the user is the sole owner. So if a user is the only owner of a group, you can't delete them. You have to find another owner for that group first.
Right.
So we want that method to be there, but the method itself is not very performant. And so it seems like there are two issues he's identified. The first is that it checks for all users separately. So rather than doing some kind of a group query, like give me all these
Yeah.
users and tell me if any of them have issues, it does them all separately. But it is a paginated, like it's paginated, I think 20 records max by default on the page. So it's
Right.
not that big of a deal to have an n plus one for 20 records. And then the second one is that it loads all associated groups in memory and checks the existence from Ruby, which causes memory bloat. And so that's what he's gone
Mm.
on and tried to fix.
Okay, that
Um,
sounds good. Do you mind
yeah,
if we take a look at that admin page? Because I don't know if I've ever seen it before.
yeah, let's see how my GDK is doing. I might need to run some migrations. Oh, actually, my GDK is in a weird state. Let me see. I this morning was trying to update LDAP locally. Let me just
The
really
GDK in a weird
fun.
state is something that happens too often.
Yeah, good. Check out main. I was trying to upgrade LDAP. Oh, it's working. Oh my gosh. Okay, great.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Okay, I'll log in as my root user.
Oh, you
And
changed your password. I left it as the default.
so I'm gonna go into admin mode. With a new thing I always forget to do this, enter admin mode. The new and I don't want to do LDAP, I want to do this. All right, this is admin mode, and I can go and this is admin/users. So as you
Oh,
see,
this admin. This is how you get to the admin from the new UI. I was trying to find. I spent
yes.
10 minutes trying to find the button because it used to be in the
Oh,
sidebar or the
yes.
drop down or one of the two.
There's the
Um,
switcher. I feel like we should do
oh,
like a tutorial because I also just recently learned about these buttons, which I have them bookmarked, but I'm like, I don't think I need them bookmarked anymore because they're just right here. Like this is merge
yeah,
requests
yeah.
that I have assigned. Like that's actually really great.
Yeah, I never
Um,
use those. I just use my email program.
okay, well, to each their own.
Um,
Um, so anyways,
okay,
we
so
have these users,
yeah.
and I think in order to populate this delete user button is what does the check.
Okay, so
Um,
the button on the admin is not there because it's the owner.
I think for me, well, let's see. Um, this user, let's find a user that's the only, let's see if I have any users that are the only, this is delete user. These are all of 0. I was just
Oh,
wondering
zero
if
groups. Yeah.
any of these, let's go ahead. Let's just create a group and give it one owner and make sure we can't delete them just to be sure. This I need to work on getting rid of. Do you have
I
this
wonder
too?
how, yeah, every time. I wonder how long it'll take if you just get it to compile everything at the beginning.
I don't know. Oh, you
I've
mean
never
this for
tried.
this request or for Webpack?
Oh, for Webpack, like just to get it to do
Mm,
everything.
I know. I think I tried to actually fix it once and then it didn't. I don't know, but I should look into it. I've been putting it off. Maybe we'll
Computer
do it after
metaphor.
this.
Yeah.
After this. Okay, so single, I love a descriptive name, single owner group. And one doesn't really matter how big it is. Create group. It's thinking really hard. Oh, I have to have a
Oh,
description.
okay.
This is it. It's interesting you can set the path separately. That makes sense. So if I manage access, let's not make me the owner. Let's invite a member. I think we have a Jesse here. Jesse Young to be the owner. And then I'm going to remove myself as the owner.
Mhm.
Okay, so now if I go back into group, oh no, I go back into admin area, and I go to users. I search for Jessie. See that she has one group. I
It's gone.
cannot delete. Oh, it seems like I can click this button. Should we just try to see what happens?
Yeah, why not? What is it gonna do? Oh, it'll delete the associated group.
Okay,
That's a bit dangerous.
it's dangerous, but it's good that it tells us that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, that button, I can just click delete user. And then let's actually look in the code at where this view is in the like where that is populated, because I'm just curious.
Yep.
So that would be I usually do it by the string if it's in the view, because sometimes it's in a view template, sometimes
What's ag?
ag is just short for I'm using a Silver Searcher, I believe, or maybe actually ag searcher plugin. It's a Vim plugin. It's for Silver Searcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be faster.
Yeah, I don't have the brain capacity to memorize all the Vim stuff, so I just use RubyMine.
There are some real
Command
benefits
Shift
using
F.
RubyMine. Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so I just searched for the string delete user and contributions, and here it is in the JavaScript file.
mhm.
So let's open that up and just take a gander at it. 23. So it looks like delete user is here. So this is where I'm not very good at, like I'm not the most front end
Me neither.
person. So let's see, users, it's probably index, right? And then this is all being populated.
Hopefully it's using that constant
Here,
somewhere.
delete. Oh, hold on, my little zoom. Delete user modal. Interesting.
So that would be the thing that popped up, right? When we click that button.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's here. Delete user modal. I guess the question I have is like, where is the Ruby call to this method? Just make sure that we're not barking up the wrong tree.
yeah. I tend to just look at the network inspector and then
Oh, good
search a
idea.
controller name based on the API path because I
Okay.
don't know any better.
I think that's a great idea. So users, oh, interesting. So
What would that
it's
like the users
admin
admin users?
users. Yeah, so it'd be app controllers, admin users controller. Look how
Is that
much Ruby you
a Ruby
know.
convention?
Uh, yes. Or what do you mean by is that? What is
Like
it?
because you translated the URL to the path of a Ruby file
Oh,
without
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, the way in Rails that routes are defined is usually in config routes RB.
Yep.
But we have also config routes and then like a bunch of files within that. So
Okay.
you could go into admin.
Admin. Yeah.
Yeah. And then in situations, so you would say like users, because it's all within the admin namespace, which is, I think, a
Uh-huh.
little confusing. Like this means that it's within like admin in the URL, but it's not super obvious just from reading this file. Like, you have to know how
You
Rails
just have to know it.
routing
Yeah.
works. Um, so what I usually do when I really don't know where a route is I will do bundle exec Rails routes. And then, oops, not that, because I want to grep. And then I will pipe it to grep. And then I'll say admin users. And then just like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see if it works.
It's thinking.
It's thinking. This is really, is it because, oh yeah, there we go. So this also isn't like the most straightforward output, but at least it gets you close. So it's showing you on the left this will map to the controller path, like the file path, and then the
Mm.
HTTP verb. And then on the right is the URL. So we were
Oh,
looking at
cool.
admin users. So it's not this because that has ID, deactivate. So it's a GET request to admin
Hmm.
user,
So it'd be
right?
that index admin users hash index.
Exactly. So
Oh,
then you would know
is the
the
hash, is that the name of them? Does that denote like the method, like the index?
exactly, yeah. So it's app controllers, admin users controller, and then the index method. And so that's what we've done. We're
Mm.
in app controllers admin, users controller, and then the index method.
Sweet. So you have to know to like append the underscore controller to the end of whatever that output gives you.
Exactly. Yep. You
Okay.
have to know that. There
Fantastic.
are, I think I've looked on Stack Overflow before, and there are like cool ways, other ways of doing it, but in general, it definitely assumes that you like have some Rails knowledge to be able to go from path to controller.
Okay.
Um, so great. So we are in users index, and also this output is good. I wish it was formatted more nicely, but anyways, we're in admin users index. And so this pulls a list of users. This is very interesting. Um, and this filters users by the filtered params. I assume that's
Hmm.
because here you could filter, yeah. See how this, when you add
Oh,
something in
that'd
the
be a
search, it
filter.
adds
Yeah.
filter. Yeah, so it's calling this filter items method, passing in that params,
Yeah.
and then it runs a search on search query. And then users with included associations is a method in here that includes their authorized projects, which is
Uh-huh.
interesting. Back, and then
Is that a convention as well, or is it someone just named it like that with included association?
it's actually kind of interesting that this is in its own method. I honestly, if it were me, I would just put it up here.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that as well, but I've seen plenty of like one-line Ruby methods. Um,
Yeah, I would guess that if you look into the Git history, maybe that method was like used in two places and someone thought they were being like writing clean code by
yeah,
having one method instead of two or something. I mean, that's a guess, but
yeah. This is easier to read.
easier to read. Let's keep this here for now. And then it can sort things. That's fine. It can sort by attribute. There's really a lot happening in this index. I really would like to see all of this actually in one class instead, but
Mm.
that's a different task. Just note later. It's just a lot happening here. And then, yeah, it's just performing all these different operations on the users. So why were we in here? Oh, because I'm still trying to figure out where we call the method, which is can be removed.
Hmm. So
Uh,
that's in the user model or the
Well, that's the thing I'm not really sure. So the method is in the user model. So let's pull that up. At
Okay.
models user can be removed. So this is what was there before, and this is what Abu Bakr changed it to. I was trying to test the performance of before and after.
Hmm.
Um, but my question is like, where is this even being called?
Where
So
is it
this
being called?
is,
Yeah.
yeah, like this is the index. So usually in Rails, to find the view template, it's a similar structure to the controller. Like automatically, if you put a view template in at views admin users index, Rails just like
Hmm.
knows to show this view.
Oh, okay. That's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah,
Um,
so it's makes it easy for you. You don't have to, you can tell it to look at a different view template if you want to, but people, it's, it encourages you to follow the convention. So I think
Makes
we
sense.
almost always do. And then this is just a lovely page because not much is happening. It's so much easier for me as a backend developer to read these when they're like Camel, which it is Camel, but it's using JavaScript to populate the page, which is why.
Okay.
And
How
so
do you
that's,
know it's using JavaScript? Is it that render core?
yeah, because usually, so render would render a partial, which is here. Oh,
Yeah.
actually,
Oh,
hmm,
there's a lot of stuff here.
there is a lot of stuff here. Maybe I'm
Uh,
wrong. Maybe the JavaScript is just doing the cool little pop-up behavior. So this is another Rails convention, but if you say render users, it will just find for a collection for a collection of users, it will
Oh,
take every single one and it will use this partial to render each of them in a list.
okay, awesome. And
Um,
that underscore in front of the users, that's a convention as well.
yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly. It's
What,
underscore in a view basically means this is included in other views. So like
in other
index,
views?
yeah,
Mm.
like index is the primary page that you look at, and then this is like a little piece of that page, a partial, they call it partial, so it's like a partial little chunk.
Okay, but
Um,
we don't need to include the underscore when we say render users. It's just
you don't. It's
okay.
just, yeah,
What if we get rid of the underscore in the file name? Does it stop working or
it would stop working. It wouldn't
okay?
know. It wouldn't know that it's a partial. It would think that this was for a new um a new view called users defined by defined by the users method in the controller.
Oh, I see. So when you have a method in the controller, you can have a corresponding view that's named exactly like that method. But when
Yes,
you
that would be
have,
the expectation.
yeah,
Yeah. hmm
okay, okay, that makes
hmm
sense.
hmm Yeah. So if you look at
I'm a little terrified, but okay.
if you look in here, everything in here is going to have an underscore except for edit, index,
Yeah.
new, show, keys, and projects. Now,
So we would
um,
expect like a show method and like a keys method.
exactly. And let's see if
Oh yeah,
that
there's show.
there's show, there's projects, and there's keys.
Hey, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
It's beginning
so
to
those,
make sense.
okay. So those would all be there. The only thing that wouldn't be there, there's an impersonate. Is there an impersonate here? I don't see an
Uh,
impersonate. I think and so if the we're really deep into Rails here, but that's fine. It's fun for me. If the
I'm glad.
if the HTTP verb for the controller action is not a get, then there wouldn't be a view template, right? So these view templates are anything that's a
Hmm.
get, but impersonate doesn't have one, which tells me it's probably a post or a patch or a put, and we can um, verify that by going into config routes admin and looking for the impersonate, and it's a
Oh yeah,
post.
post. Okay.
hmm 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 And
Uh,
so these are
you have to do that
get,
manually. That's like you got to edit the routes yourself.
yeah, and again in Rails, there are, if you follow the conventions, for example, update, is there an update here? Def update. So they may have defined this here. There are shortcuts where you don't even have to define update because like Rails just assumes that
Okay.
update is always a patch. So like Rails RESTful routing.
Oh, it just follows the verbs, like if you've got a get or a no, that would be a show,
Exactly.
wouldn't it?
So you can in your routes do this,
Oh, okay.
but you don't have to. Like if you just say like I have this and this is this method and it follows the REST conventions, you have to write very little code because it will just make a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you just write resources photos, it creates all of this for you in
Okay.
Rails. This
So,
would be in the config routes RB file, and then you automatically get all of this. Um,
but if you don't want parts of it, you have to specify everything that you do want. You can't tell it what you don't want.
exactly, like
Okay.
only, I think you can say
Oh,
accept. I
only.
think
Oh,
accept
okay.
works as well. But usually in a bigger code base, you'll see only like we have here, just because
Yeah.
saying accept is kind of weird.
Yeah, but it's like the
Um,
if or the unless. Like I've seen
yeah,
combinations of that, and
yes,
I don't know anymore what's going
yes.
on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, unless is so hard for me. I simply cannot understand that word.
Right.
Okay, great. So we found our little partial here. And so a lot of this content or all of this content is basically what this one line of a user looks like. I'm going to make this the whole vim because I'm looking at this. And so there's a lot happening here.
Hmm.
There's a lot happening here. Let's see. What was the method we were looking at again? I already forgot what it's called.
Something
Uh,
can something.
oh yeah, can be removed. I don't see that here.
Yeah.
So that's the interesting. Oh, so this is just the top. Oh, this is users. Oh, interesting. Okay. This is going to get even more fun. So this is the collect. This represents the collection. And then
Okay.
there's going to be an app admin app users user of detail
Uh,
or user
okay. Maybe
listing.
the listing might be the table.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where are users. Oh, it's like admin data user attributes. So where is that method defined? That is a helper method that serializes each user.
Uh,
Fun.
uh,
So
uh,
yeah. Okay.
hmm.
This is ultimately using JavaScript right here. So it's taking all those users and then serializing each of them. And then I would think that app serializers, admin user serializer, is this where we're going to find? Oh my goodness, here it is.
uh,
Admin
user.
user entity,
Oh, admin actions
admin actions. Where do you see? Oh, here.
on
Okay.
23.
Where is that defined?
Uh,
Oh, okay.
oh,
Here we
delete
go.
actions.
Delete
17.
actions. Ah, thank you.
And so on.
Can be removed. 53.
Hey, okay. It's only like 5 files to
Awesome. So great. We figured out where this call is. And so really what I wanted to look into, like I trust that Abu Bakr knows what he's doing, but he made an assertion in the MR that I wanted to be able to verify with a test, or at least verify with a link to documentation.
Uh-huh.
And the assertion was that this is much more performant than this.
Okay. Um,
Um,
what does solo own groups do?
that's a good question. So let's just do in the Rails console really quick. We can test out these methods. I don't have that many projects locally, but it will be interesting to see the difference. So his
Mhm.
claim was that this loads everything into memory and this uses the database.
Interesting.
Um,
Eh.
yeah,
So it's that dot present versus the dot none. Like that's making the difference. And he just flipped the
yes.
condition.
So let's see. I have groups, group dot all. Great. I have some groups. And what happens if I do groups dot present? Oops, I misspelled present. So I have a little zoom thing. I have to put it up now. Groups present, true. And so present. Okay, and then what if I do groups dot none? False.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah, and because yeah, before it was actually thing, which is not groups present. So these,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, that
hey,
makes
that
sense.
should be. Oh yeah, not groups. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep. So it's the
Mhm.
same.
And then I'm also curious. Um, so his assertion was that groups at present loads everything into memory. And none does not. So I wanted to actually just look at the Rails docs and see
Mhm.
where these are defined. So
Hey, so
Rails
that's
present.
solo owned groups. That's just a what's that? A variable name?
Good question. So solo owned
Is it doing some other
groups.
stuff in there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Ag solo owned groups. Where's that defined? Solo owned groups is defined in this file. Oops.
No, not
Oops.
anymore.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff happening here
A
as well.
lot of stuff happening here.
Um,
Yeah,
I mean, that looks like a database query, right?
it is a database query. And I think, so let's see actually. So if we say user.first.solo owned groups,
There we go.
so we can see the
Yeah.
SQL being run here.
I mean, that was the n
Oh,
plus one thing he mentioned, I think.
yeah, that's being run for each user.
Uh, and then
Um,
these two queries look the same.
they do,
Well, just flipped.
except, well,
Uh,
there's one thing that's
those are
different, which is says this says
select
select
one.
one as, whereas this is select namespaces star from.
Right.
So it, and this is where I need to go look in the documentation. It may be that what none is doing is as soon as it finds one, it just goes, well, there's none. Or like there's not none.
Oh, I see.
um, uh, although,
So the pre uh,
because what this is doing is this is actually calling,
selecting it all.
it's looking at all, and I think present. So this is where, so I was gonna
Yeah, let's look up the.
say, yeah, and I had never, okay, I need to look on,
Oh, so these are all like built-in like Rails model methods.
well, good question. And I think actually present method, I always forget where these methods come from, and then I hate these results. So Rails docs. Um, let's see if none is in here because active record comes from Rails, but then there's some stuff that's Ruby and not Rails.
Okay,
Um, so none appears to be a method on on active records, means it's from Rails.
right.
And this returns a chainable relation with 0 records. Although this is not none question mark, that's just none. See if we can find none.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Cool.
Returns true if there are no records.
Yeah, so we can show here. Oh, so look, it's
Empty.
actually, it's an alias for empty, really. And
Uh,
then if loaded, that's interesting. One thing I really like in GitHub, by the way, is they'll show you where the method is defined if you
yeah,
click
it's
on it.
very handy.
Very handy. I'm like, when are we getting that? Gotta get that soon.
If we stop
So
messing around with AI stuff, get
um, so loaded. Although interestingly, I can't find the. I mean, if my husband's talking, it's too loud for you.
It doesn't
Okay.
look like it's in this file. Might be in
Maybe
waves.
yeah, I don't. It's hard to see which one it is.
Yeah. The collection proxy sounds promising, but I don't know. Because I guess it's a collection of
Returns true if the solution has been loaded. Okay. But like, what does that mean?
Maybe if it's cached from the database already.
Yeah, but it's just funny how it just calls loaded.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because.
Oh, that's calling it back, isn't it? The one. Yeah.
But I think this loaded.
Alias loaded.
Oh my gosh. Hard to find. Okay, well, anyways, let's go back a few steps here. So empty says if it's loaded, it looks rather empty. Otherwise, it calls exists. What does exists look like? I think that is defined in here. It's a finder method.
Okay.
So returns false if none. Let's put this in this here dot here.
Record exists in the table. No args returns false if the relation is empty otherwise. So this is the method that the MR has changed it to, right? To use none instead of
present.
Present.
So we could look for present, and that's on an object.
Very helpful.
Very helpful. Not blank. And then blank, an object is blank. So one thing I'm noticing is that this is an object method as opposed to an active record method.
True.
And so
how does that work then? Does that trigger active record somehow to do something in order to make that determination?
so this object, so let's see, like if we look for and what was your experience like now? Dot class. So this is an active record relation. But then we can do ancestors. And there's like an ancestor hierarchy. So like everything in Rails or in Ruby is an object. So like at the very base, they will all have object. But this is active record relation. Inside of this hierarchy, we also, well, this is basic object. So
Basic,
it will respond to that in addition to any methods on any of these classes in the ancestor hierarchy. So I think like this, and I need to do a little more digging. Actually, go in a minute because we're past our hour, but I think the reason that it's less performant to call a method that's defined on basic object is that it will have to load all of the objects into memory, like Walker said, in order to do the method. Whereas the active record relation, like active record is just a wrapper on the database. So that's going to make a query to the database. I mean, if the object one will as well, but in theory, the database call is more, what's the word? Performant.
More performant, yeah. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So if we're calling present, then it needs to check that object and all of its properties, which is causing it to load in all of the groups, the group objects too.
I think that's right. I think that's right. So I need to do a little more digging to be confident in this. And like again, I already did the hard work for us. I'm just kind of checking for myself to make sure I understand. But yeah, this has
I
been
think that,
good.
yeah, I think that makes sense, based on the very little Ruby I understand.
You understand a lot, I would say, more than I do
Uh,
of a lot of other things.
I'm
So
just guessing most of the time, this sounds about right. So, maybe. I don't know. I
awesome.
write in Go most of the time, and there's a lot less magic happening, um, which I enjoy. But
Yes. Yes. Well, maybe next time you can come bring a Go thing, just some Go. That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
sounds good. I don't have
Cool.
anything that exciting though. But,
Oh, anything's exciting to me, I promise.
okay, we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Thanks for
Well, it's
chatting.
fun hearing. Yeah. Talk to you
Yeah.
later.
Right, see
Bye.
ya.